Forse possiamo anche.
I think that we can start. Other friends will join us, also other colleagues will join us, and so we have a rather thick program. In this wonderful Italian language, the term guest or host has a dual meaning because we have host who is hosting, and then we have guest. In Italian, it's just one word, ospite. Today, CNEL, which is the National Council for Economy and Labour, and it's enshrined as a constitution in Article 99 of the Constitution, it's your host, and it's hosting Fratelli Tutti Foundation, because the Council, CNEL, is hosting you. And this is not just by mere chance. The foundation chose this as one of the 11 important sites where we organize an important roundtable on humanity, labor. And you have it in your program. Based on the encyclical letter of Pope Francis. Why do I start from this semantic origin of the name ospite, host, guest? Because we are very glad to host you here, but also to be the guest of the Fratelli Tutti Foundation, because we feel that we are really very much involved and committed to what Fratelli Tutti Foundation is doing. We are a constitutional body, and we feel totally in sync with a cultural, religious expression like the Foundation Fratelli Tutti. This is already a miracle, as somebody could say, because it's not so easy to put together these different approaches and sensitivity. Who is CNEL? CNEL is the house of intermediary bodies, is the house of union trade unions, of the Entrepreneurs Association. In few words, I could say we are the house, the home of civil society, and we act as consultant of the government, and we have one power: we can initiate legislation, we can draft bills. We cannot approve bills, we cannot pass bills, but we can write them down and send to the parliament. And then so you gave me this wonderful idea. This could happen. It could be an evolution of our meeting. Of course, we have to comply with the rules, the regulation. We are a small parliament with commissions, etc., hearings, but we can draft bills that have the right to be submitted to the Italian Parliament, and they have to be discussed, and if they get the majority, they are passed and become laws. Act of Parliament. This is a dream. We could put together these two different cultures, two different sensitivities, these two different approaches. But why does it happen today? Why are you here today? Why the Fratelli Tutti Foundation is here today and we are hosting you with so much interest? Because very probably what is happening outside these walls, you know, all the transitions, what we call demographic transition, digital transition, energy transition, why not? All these transitions call for something more. More G. G stands for governance, government. Government is not enough. we need that together with governments, we have also civil society, intermediary bodies. All that should coalesce. I don't want to linger too much, but this is a G. If we allow me to say so, we are a G in sense of fraternity. We are here to draft a charter of humanity. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. We remember, right? Do you remember this? About 200 years ago. A great program, a master program. But master programs are not always implemented, are they? And the key word that I would like to share with you today is fraternity. Fraternity as, and I tell this to my dear friend Luigi Sbarra, is fraternity in terms of participation, effectiveness, efficiency, productivity, sharing, and perhaps last but not least, it's good for all, as having fair wages and salaries, safety and security in the workplace, and it's important for all of us to have dignity, efficiency, productivity, growth at work. Because work is not a commodity. It's not a factor like many others. We have to consider mankind. And something that I took from your documents, from your papers, social life does not improve just by chance. And we think of the biological evolutional theory. It improves because we have make a decision. We have decided and chosen something together. And therefore, let's leave behind us marginalism, productivism, and egotism. And let's imagine that participation, sharing, humanity, fraternity are the key success factors, are the key factors. And this is important. It's important to put humanity at the center. As a lab, as an old lay person, as I am, reaching this result today in this headquarters, in the forum for intermediary bodies that is hosting you, but we are hosted by your extraordinary foundation, Fratelli Tutti. Well, this is already an extraordinary event by itself, and for those who believe it's a big, small miracle. Thank you very much, and I would like to give the floor to my friend Enzo De Fusco.
Grazie Presidente, occupo veramente.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll take just a few minutes because our agenda is intense, thick, and we have to move fast forward. I'd like to say thank you to those who've decided to use a stream to be with us on the streaming line. I'd like to say thank you to Cardinal Gambetta and Father Francesco Occhetta, who were the first to turn on the light of this initiative, the flame of this initiative that took us to where we are today and maybe further on in the future. But my first thought is for you, Mr. President. I'm reading in the minutes that you've left us with that this is the house of the intermediary bodies. I would like to call it the house of human fraternity just for a second. Yes, you have this freedom. You have the freedom to call it like this. We are here today, and concomitantly in around other 11 tables, we are discussing the same principles, the values of human fraternity, and how they can be introduced, applied, implemented, and how they can penetrate into several dimensions of our humanity, of our life. We were chosen to discuss the principle of labour. So our key question, our motivating question throughout the past few months until today was how the principles and values of human fraternity can be fostered in our everyday life at the place of work. How can they be re-enlivened and made concrete? Throughout the past months, the representatives of the world of labour met, qualified representatives from the world of labour, who every day focus on the interests of employees and employers. They confronted and debated to try and improve dignity at work and working conditions. They meet around the table of Human Fraternity at work. We asked them to make a step backward so that altogether 2 steps forward can be made in order to find to achieve a common synthesis, a common summary, a common objective, which is the following. 3 words summarize our common objective. 3 keywords, which are also the background of a shared document. These keywords are, firstly, inclusion. Yes, inclusion. As Pope Francis says, no one should lag behind. The concept of isolation is one of the key topics that should be dealt with at the workplace. What is clear from our debate is that inside industries and businesses, there should be more attention for the person. New politics should be generated, showing greater attention for the person, thus going beyond the objective of profit, of legitimate profit, which is the objective, a common objective for businesses. Persons should not be considered as a cost, but as added value, as human asset, a form of human asset. Thus, by recognizing, by offering a fair wage, and by creating a virtual bridge between the young and the elderly, while consolidating the world of knowledge, of know-how, which has been built up over time. The second world is centrality. There is no development if development is not focused on the person, on the worker. We are faced with a big challenge, AI, namely, which worries many. We can win this challenge as long as we put the person in the center of this development. 40 years ago, we should remember this, we experienced more or less the same concerns with the introduction of the PC in our lives. We won that challenge 40 years ago. Today's challenge is more complex, more articulate, but we can win it. We will win it if we continue to place the person and the worker in the center of development. The third keyword where our document focuses is relationships. The working group launches a challenge which tries to transform production places into relationship places, into places based on relationships. That's because we think that exchanges and dialogue can let the seed of human fraternity grow even at the workplace. Dialogue in everyday practice, the ability to debate, to discuss together what's happened together, intensifying dialogue, more intense dialogue within businesses can lead to this result. All this and much more is contained in a summary document that we've released. We did not want to leave our thoughts pending and our remarks pending in the air. We decided to make them concrete. It will soon be available on the website of Fratelli Tutti, the Vatican Foundation. But we decided to make an extra effort, an extra step. A somewhat provocative extra step, if you like. In addition to this document, to this paper, to this declaration, to this summary, which will soon be available on the website of Fratelli Tutti, we also designed a regulatory proposal, a draft proposal, that can pave the way to a law around human fraternity. And it may sound bizarre, but it isn't bizarre at all. It's no oxymoron. I'll be showing you, I'll be providing you with this proposal for your attention, Mr. President, and we hope that the spirit of this proposal, which is aimed at proposing, at motivating virtuous behaviours within enterprises, will motivate brave entrepreneurs to follow these principles. We're not starting from nothing. We are advanced in this area, but we can do better. We can intensify efforts in this sense, in this direction, and we are trying to, we want to motivate them more through economic financial incentives that can offer an extra drive. CNEL is the archive of contracts, where all labour contracts from the whole world of employment in Italy are deposited. We are an archive. Contracts are the expression, trade union relationships, in a fantastic manner. So your proposal, Fausto, should find a place within the context of contracts between parties. I promise I will put this proposal at the order of the day, on the order of the day. The Commission. Humanity should be included when framing contracts. If I may say something extra, I can put Radio 24 and Sole 24 Ore to describe your proposal. So I'll make my journal and my radio available to push this proposal. I'd like to finish by expounding two extra aspects. When making this summary, we received an unexpected contribution by CNEL and the working group. Along with the paper, you will also find this extra contribution, which means an analysis of all the national available contracts with traces on welfare, work and life balance related subjects. This offers extra emphasis on the idea that Italy doesn't start from null. Many steps forward have been made in the framework, in the context of collective bargaining. I would also like to cast our minds into the future by saying the following. There's a declaration, the final step of the declaration of Human Fraternity, which has been subscribed at Piazza San Pietro on June 10th, 2023, where they say it is up to our freedom to aim at fraternity, to want fraternity, and to transform it into everyday practices by reaching the heart and minds of all governors and anyone who, at any level, has a big or small civic responsibility. We all share this responsibility. We all have the responsibility of pushing the principles of human fraternity forward. Thanks for all your efforts and support. Will you please introduce our guests? I'm happy to leave the floor to Fabio Tamburini, the director of Sole 24 Ore. I thank him for being here. He will be the moderator of this technical table. I'd like to say I was really happy to be invited. I was excited to be here today for a couple of key reasons. With President CNEL, Renato Brunetta, we are just back from an extremely interesting initiative where we made a first step, which is quite consistent with today's topic, labour, fraternity and humanity. For a couple of months, we developed a project relating to jails and work within jails. You can track this project on the website of Sole 24 Ore. We did an inquiry on work occasions, work opportunities in Italian jails. In the Italian jail system, there's a key problem. Relapses are continuous. So the only way to reduce this vicious circle is offering prisoners work opportunities, jobs. Numbers are clear. Prisoners that can get a job opportunity are those who are the least likely to fall back into crime later on. We were very active. We actively carried out this research project. Renato Brunetta and Sole 24 Ore. I'll be very happy to present our contribution today here. The second reason why I'm really happy to be here is that we're living in a world of wars, in a time of wars. Pope Francis was the first, and by the way, no one took him seriously. In 2015, no one took Pope Francis seriously. Everyone would tend to think he was saying compulsory words. He said the world is heading for permanent, peaceful wars. This is a pathway which risks to be a no return pathway. Today in the world there are 60 existing wars. The war is again considered as a way to solve conflicts. This may lead to a drama in our humanity. How can we get out of this problem? We should go back to values. The sunset of ideologies has determined a desert of Tartars. The lack of central value systems, of systems rotating around maybe competing values, like those that, for example, the Christian democracy represented, that were rooted on ideologies. These ideologies no longer exist. Their value no longer exists. They should be recuperated. Part of the title of our meeting today is Dignity, Community, Participation, Brotherhood, Humanity. To recover a value-based system. This is the only antidote, real antidote, to a world which is upset by wars. We have a war in Europe, one quite close in Palestine. We should recover values, a system based on values. This is the key contribution that a day like this can make. On Sole 24 Ore last Sunday, we published a page with a contribution by Cardinal Gambetti, which was quite interesting. His words were extremely interesting. But first of all, I loved the headline, the title of that article that we chose. G-all. G does not mean G7 or G8 or G20. G-all. G is the only way to prevent the world from being overwhelmed by conflicts. This is an era of great uncertainty. It's an era where, as you earlier evoked, AI is changing our life in the private sphere as well as at work. We're not realizing this in full, but it's a sneaky mechanism which will certainly leave a mark. These uncertainties, these major changes which are upcoming, he stops and resumes, we are have got habituated to changes. We can own, during the last 30, 40 years, we have experienced major changes, but the future changes, the upcoming changes, will be much stronger than those we've just experienced. So we must be prepared to resolve our time's dilemmas, our time's uncertainties on the basis of knowledge, of reciprocal dialogue, a reciprocal interaction, and through the recovery of value-based systems. So talking about employment, dignity and participation is a way, an important manner to achieve this objective. I was asked to make a list of the names that participated in our working group. It's a list. Francesca Basilelli, Director General of Teleton. Pierangelo Alpini, he directs, working out of Confindustria. Luigi Sbarra, the Secretary General of CISL. Guido Lazzarelli, Director General of Commercio. Riccardo Giovani, Confartigianato. Giorgio Vitalini, President of the Foundation for Subsidiarity. Luciano Sale, Director of Human Resources of Fincantieri. Ciro Chefiero, lawyer, labor lawyer. Manuele Massari, Tarantelli Foundation President. Pietro Papov, Director General of ELIS. Pierluigi Bartolomei, Director General of the ELIS Professional Training Center. Paolo Donini, Constitutional Law Specialist. Rosella Sacco, Confcooperative, Third Sector Specialist. Rita Ghidini, Cooperative League of Bologna. Gianmario Ferona, President of Human Technopole, an economist, AI specialist, and administration and board of director member of Sole 24 Enzo De Fusco, the coordinator that you've just listened to at the beginning of our meeting. I've made it. I've come to the end of this list. I acknowledge the list was quite long, but I did not want to do so, to read it out, because of bureaucratic reasons. I just wanted to give you a sense of the richness and of the amount, the quantity of its content. The first report is by Luigi Sbarra from CISL, the president of CISL, trade union. He's first line engaged in the world of labour. We'll talk about the system of relationships in industries which may experience conflict, as well as the acknowledgement of reciprocal, mutual interests and reasons. Sbarra, the floor is yours.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Director, thank you, President Brunetta, for hosting us. Great hospitality, really. We feel at home. We daily work together in a very fruitful manner with CNEL, but I would like really to express my deepest gratitude to His Eminence Cardinal Mauro Gambetti, Father Francesco Chetta, and Mr. Enzo De Fusco, who is the animator of this talk, for having launched such an important project that has really great value for all of us. We have participated, as you remembered, and it was a great honor for me personally, for my organization, CISL. I feel really humbled to be involved in this meeting where we discussed very important subjects, not only for the labor market, but for our life. Mr. De Fusco was just mentioning it, the buzzword, the priorities that are reported in this important document: dignity, participation, fraternity, humanity. These are important themes and principles that, especially today, mark the perimeter within which we have to build a new vision, a new project for our future. What is essential to say as a trade unionist is to focus on the quality and the social value of work. And this means abandoning a vision of work that sometimes is conceived as only as a way to get to your salary and wages to survive, and it's not the right to express your personal and collective freedom and liberties, and to pay a contribution as an individual to material and spiritual progress of society as a whole. Pope Francis uses very beautiful, meaningful words when he focuses on labor, and especially when His Holiness says that work is an instrument to have the seeds planted in all of us bloom, and this means that altogether we can really accomplish our common goal, which is the common good. But work is also one of the key pillars. Our Constitution, in fact, recognizes a dual value of work. On one hand, it's important for the person. It promotes the noble aspect of mankind, and the other aspect is that by working, each individual can contribute to the growth of society with equal rights. That is why, speaking of fraternity, speaking of rights and values, is not only something we need to do, as we see very clearly in the paper, but it's the only way, it's the only possibility, it's the only way out to counteract an unregulated development model that is uncontrolled and that has really increased the gap between rich and poor, dominated only by a world based on finance, speculative finance, unregulated wild globalization, and what is important is to have a development model that is once again focused on the value and dignity of the individual and quality and stability of work. Why do I say all this? Because there is a sort of over-liberal trend that is considering work as a mere commodity. It's commoditization of work, and is really compressing social liberties, is an obstacle to economic freedom, and is slowing down creativity and diversity. We think that between these two poles, let's say, the turbo-capitalistic approach, let's put it this way, and the state-controlled approach, but before us, the father of the Constitution, have found a third way, as we usually call it. That is to say, a social market-based economy that is governed by subsidiary participation, and in particular, for what we're discussing here today, and is based on participation of workers to life and sharing the incomes of companies. This is even more important in the light of these radical disruptive changes that are affecting the production cycles and system, but also the quality of work. In view of constructing together a positive, generative, more collaboration-based approach between workers and their enterprises. Why do I say this? Because competitiveness, and let me say it, is measured on speed, but also on the capacity of entrepreneurs and enterprises to adopt, to adjust, and invest in technological innovations if we want to keep up with all the changes occurring on the market. What does it mean? It means investing in the economy of knowledge. The added value for a company, for us, is quality of human capital. And we have to invest in order to increase knowledge, skills, intelligence, creativity, and the ability to construct company-based relations. This is the paradigm shift that should occur. And this is something we have to make all together. We have to understand that if we invest in human capital in order to improve it, is a goal without which we cannot reach any other goal, is essential. And these good revolutions should be centered on the human being, with their intelligence, creativity, with their ability and willingness to participate actively and proactively to the development of our own community. And therefore, what is important is a social sustainability-based model, as we see in the document, and also a very sound and profound strong participation of intermediary bodies, of workers, of civil society within the decision-making process at any level. What does it mean? It means that we start from bottom up. It's a bottom-up approach. We have to have look at modernity with new eyes. It means, I don't want to be polemical, of course, but it means preparing, getting ready to leave behind us the 20th century that has been characterized by conflicts, protagonism, ideology, fierce ideology, and finally come with great responsibility, commitment to a fulfilled social democracy that is really accomplished, according to which each individual, each member of the community, each one with his or her responsibility, are committed to work together for the common good and feeling responsible to live within transformation and try to guide and control change. This is a great change, is a paradigm shift, is a cultural change, radical change. And first and foremost, it occurs when workers can really access to the decision-making fora, where decisions at company level are taken and where choices are made at economic level as well. And we think that time has come 75 years after the Constitution was drafted, time has come to implement an important article, Article 46, that our father, the Constitutional Fathers, wanted to write down in order to guarantee the right, I repeat, the right. This is what is enshrined in the Constitution, the right of workers to work together, to participate, to partake in profits, decisions, and distribution of companies' profits, as I said. And therefore, we started as still an important initiative, and I close. We collected some signature on a proposal for participation, economic democracy. We have reached 400,000 signatures by citizens. So we submitted all this to the. So this is going to be approved both by majority and minority. We hope that this bill, this proposal, this bottom-up proposal will be approved. There are two commissions, Finance and Labour Commissions, the Chamber of Deputies, that are working on this proposal. And I really appreciated that together with this popular initiative, other 4 proposals have been submitted by parliamentary groups on participation on April 24. All parliamentary groups have withdrawn their proposals, and they decided almost unanimously in a bipartisan situation with pure convergence between different political groups. The majority and minority groups agreed on the proposal made by CISL. Yesterday, the amendments came to end. So we finally had the final amendments, which are 200. And if we still have this good positive mood before summer, it is possible that this bill, this popular proposal made by CISL and signed by citizens, can be approved by the Chamber of Deputies and then passed to the examination of the Senate. Why is this so important? Because we think that in this important phase of change and transformation, social parties should really be innovative and give an innovative contribution in trade unionism. We think that with the organizational, consultative, economic, financial, etc. participation, we can participate in regenerating the relationship between entrepreneurs and workers, between capital and workers. I think this is a crossroad for all the big challenge we have to face with innovative labor union initiatives based on participation. We can really help in increasing salary and wages. We can give green light in order to improve also stability in the workplace, invest in safety and security in the workplace, help companies in getting better productivity in order to then invest in sharing profits and decreasing working hours, and fight against the wild delocalization that we have seen in the past, carried out by large groups. We can finally work on sustainability and improve local conditions, so in the local territories, so that these small, local, marginalized areas can attract work. I think this is a new modus operandi, a new way of working of trade unions. So we have to improve collective negotiations because we have very good experience at work. We have a lot of national second-level negotiation as to working hours, wages and salaries, training, welfare, reconciling personal and professional life, wellness at work. We want participatory culture to extend these good practices. And we think that really this is a good signal not only to the labor sector but to the whole country.
Un'ultima domanda.
I've got one last question. Participation, productivity, sustainability. But there is an issue which has already been evoked. In Italy, we have around 500,000 ready jobs which are ready to be used, but there's no one that is ready to accept those jobs because they've no training. So how do you feel about this? One of the key crises that Italy experiences today is lack of know-how, lack of skills. There's a lack of supply rather than lack of demand. We are experiencing a relatively positive moment in terms of employment indicators. Employment is growing, the employment rate is growing, especially what open-ended contracts are becoming more numerous, although some precariousness is still alive, which needs appropriate governance. The true contradiction today is that we have around 3,000 young nets, that don't study, that don't receive any education or training. We've got thousands and thousands of pending jobs within companies that fail to find people accepting those jobs. So the debate is quite anachronistic. The debate on the Jobs Act, on Article 18, is quite anachronistic, quite outdated. The true investment that we need today is on active policies. The new Article 18 for the life of a worker within the current employment market is called investments. We need investments on training, on the growth of skills, of new skills, on new learning experiences, on new knowledges, on new know-how. This is a true challenge that we are facing today, that we will have to face together. I feel that the time has come to open up a debate that goes beyond Law 300 or the Statute of Workers. We should bargain and negotiate a new, modern statute of the person in the world of employment. We should ensure continuous vocational training as a subjective individual right, which should be included in every contract. We should bring school and work closer. We should promote technical high schools, and we should promote this shift from public employment to synergy with private employment agencies, with private entities where true needs can be analysed concretely in the world of employment, in the world of work. If I could, I would introduce the following principle. Open-ended contracts should be less costly than fixed-term contracts, especially those which are very short. This, if we want to counter precariousness, and if we want to find the true cause of poor work, of low wages, in occasional work or fixed-term contracts are not the main cause of poor work today. Apprenticeship, bogus VAT self-employment, cooperatives, involuntary part-time, which keeps female workers entrapped in their current condition who would like to work more but can't, are the main causes. There's a very broad, very widespread flavour of precariousness also in private professional firms where many newly graduate professionals are kept hostage through apprenticeship experiences for just a few hundreds of euros each month. We should not miss our objective. We should identify where undeclared, precarious, low-paid work nests and where our conquerors are destroyed, where the achievements that we achieved through hard trade union work were achieved. Time is fast, time runs fast. Our agenda is very thick. Gianni Rosas, the director of the Italian office of the ILO for Italy and San Marino, has the floor. Participation, value recovery. What are you doing in this sense as an organization? Thank you for giving me the floor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Fratelli tutti. I'd like to thank Cardinal Branchetti, Dr. De Fusco, Father Gambetta, and President Brunetta for hosting us, for inviting me, for inviting us here. This place has a lot to say in terms of the topic of participation, in terms of the participation of social parties in the decision-making and policy generating process in the world of employment. Fraternity, brotherhood and participation, I would also add dignity, are the main motivations why the ILO got the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1969. The main motivation reads that the Nobel Prize was awarded to the ILO for all the efforts that the organization had made in the world of social justice and also in the world of fraternity among countries. So that means in the implementation of 3 constituent principles which are in the Charter of the ILO. The first has already been mentioned by Brunetta and Besbarra. Work is no commodity. Work is the result of human activity, and as such it should be protected through appropriate regulations. And the principle that all human beings should pursue material well-being and spiritual development in a context of freedom, dignity, economic security and equal opportunities. This is the main principle where, in 1948, the National Declaration of Human Rights was based. This declaration contains most of the principles that the ILO shares. The third important value is the right of association and of collective bargaining through participative structures representing employers as well as employees. These key principles were declinated into a national labour code, which includes rules and topics that rotate around the world of work and that were ratified by the ILO members, which are 187 at the current moment. This led to a process of implementation in local, national legislations and in local industrial relationships, which gave rise in 2019 to the regulation of the maximum working hour scheme, which had an impact at national level in the local bargaining procedures. More recently, 4 years ago, a convention was adopted based on which ILO governments and social parties have approved to counter mobbing in the world of employment. How are priorities defined? How are rules implemented? The rules of the International Labour Code are implemented. This is done through a participation and bargaining and dialogue process into which not only national states participate, but which also involves, with the same voting right, local trade unions, as well as employers' associations, with the same, exactly the same voting right. All these rules must be facilitated by states through consultation and engagement in procedures, engaging social parties in the development and formulation of national politics and of social politics, and through the collaboration, the cooperation of social parties, through collective bargaining, and through industrial relationship systems, like Sbarra just mentioned, that relate to the management of industrial relationships within businesses. As regards your question about our initiatives and priorities, President Brunetta has mentioned the 3 key transitions that are at stake: climate, ecology. We've just published a worldwide report which says that if these problems are not tackled, climate and environment problems are not tackled, 60% of workers worldwide will be exposed to health problems, to safety and security problems at work, which are due to extreme global warming and which may cause the disappearance of many outdoor jobs. A few days ago, we experienced a drama in Brazil which mirrors the consequences of this transition, non-managed transition. Training is important. It plays a key role within technological digital transition contexts, and also in the use of AI. In itself, we can't stop the development of AI. We can't stop AI. AI is not necessarily negative, but what we should consider is that the introduction of AI must be governed because it may lead to several positive opportunities in terms of productivity increase, in terms of the possibility to increase wages and reduce working hours. But on the other side, if left ungoverned, AI may lead to a negative impact in terms of human rights and the rights of workers. The other topic is not at all new, not at all recent. It regards inequalities. In recent times, inequalities are growing, mushrooming around the world. For example, out of 3.3 billion workers around the world, 2 billion workers have no contract, are not on a work contract. Sbarra mentioned precariousness at work. We have workers with no access to any form of social security protection, that no voice, no say. International trade unions are doing their best to represent their rights, to voice out their rights. On average, worldwide, where female workers gain 20% less than male colleagues, which means we've not experienced any development, any progress in this sense. Social justice still needs to be boosted. Equal opportunities, equal working conditions must still need to be driven. There are matters related to globalization, to the new geography of employment. Products and services are offered elsewhere than in the country where they are used. It is therefore necessary to undertake initiatives to govern, to offer equal conditions that can be applied along the supply chain, the whole supply chain, value supply chain, along the whole production chain, on all platforms, on every single platform. In the world, there are 150 million workers who work to train AI, to prompt AI, so that AI can further develop, and be implemented. These workers come from the global south, where clicking button is enough to deactivate, to terminate an account, and to avoid paying workers with a medium-high level of know-how. There are many engineers, IT engineers, that can be dismissed through an algorithm overnight. So an international initiative has been started to develop a platform-related employment statute that crosses borders and that can offer equal opportunities and rights to those working for platforms, for international platforms. Two important initiatives have been launched. One which focuses on the importance, on the new importance of justice, social justice, in terms of new social, economic and employment politics. It's an agenda, a type of development which is focused on the person, on the individual, on the human being. It pursues economic objectives as well as social objectives, and also environmental development objectives. The combination of these three levels, these three categories of objectives, defines what we call sustainable development. The other objective is reboosting the social pact that yielded results in the past by reinforcing participation and social representativeness on the side of employers as well as on the side of trade unions, in order to define common guidelines, with those focusing on politics, on governmental policies, on how to best manage transitions, new challenges, the new challenges that we've mentioned, that can't be resolved just by engaging one party or another individually. Work or employment-related problems are common problems for employers and employees and governments. As such, new mechanisms, a new social pact must be retriggered, retwinkled, so that these new challenges can be faced, and so that the results, the fruits from these new opportunities and progress can be equitably redistributed. Thank you. I'd like to emphasize something you've said, and that is quite interesting. That is, all the hard work that there is behind innovation, AI, all the engineering efforts, all the engineering staff behind AI. The world of employment has completely changed. There's a revolution in the world of work and employment which is underway, and that will certainly be more and more intense. This should be considered also in the context of the relationship between West and East. We usually consider ourselves the belly button of the world, the navel of the world. But this is no longer the case. We should begin to learn this. In Italy, for example, we don't have enough engineers. Some hundreds of engineers are missing. In India, which was quite interesting, in the east side of the world, depending on the standards which are set, because there are several engineering academies. So it depends on what you mean by engineering academy. But depending on the existing standards in India, every year, 700,000 or 1.2 up to 1,200,000 new engineers graduate. So can you imagine that there is a pendulum that swings from the west to the east in terms of training and education, and that there's a new work market, which Rosas has just referred to. These new engineers that graduate in India represent a big difference versus Italian or Western engineers. They're hungry. They're hungry, which contributes to changing the framework of the world of employment. We must become aware of this, fully aware of this, or otherwise we will continue to think we are living in a reality which is totally different from what we are figuring out, from what we pretend it is every day. So the next session is around the topic of how fraternity, the concept of fraternity changes depending on the context of reference. Realities are totally different. There are large businesses that in Italy are less and less numerous, which is no secret, and not positive. There are many small businesses, very small businesses. Italy is full of very small businesses which are now facing this new reality. We recently talked about the rise of employment, the employment rate. Employment is rising in an extraordinary manner, but productivity is not changing at all. Productivity is nailed to the past. So, should we continue like this? I think this will worsen. AI can be easily managed by large businesses, but small businesses can't cope with AI. It's an issue. This is why productivity is nailed to its current low levels and will continue to remain like this. Appropriate reflection is necessary around this topic. So we have representatives of small, medium, large businesses and cooperatives, which mean main players in the backbone of Italy. Riccardo Giovani, CNA, Labour representative.
Chiedo a tutti di esercitare la virtù della
So try and be brief because we are very, very late. And so try and be very brief. I would like to thank the moderator. I'm Riccardo Giovani and I'm in charge for Trade Union of I would like to thank the foundation for this invitation and for this great initiative that allows us to discuss. Craftsmanship is very important. We have 8,000 municipalities in Italy, and we have craftsmen everywhere. Without these small enterprises, many municipalities would die out. This morning, we had a private audience with Pope Francis, who often uses the term artisan craftsmanship. So in a very nice way, where he invites us to be the artisan of peace, to be artisan and of peace, because he finds that here we have this noble work that is at the very heart of all this, because as the Pope says, being artisan, being craftsman has really an important gift, the capacity of treating the matter. And we have to speak of fraternity in the workplace, and they are so different. We have micro enterprises, we have self the artisans with their different conditions, and there are three important preliminary conditions that are very important to further develop actions of fraternity. Of course, it is a place where interpersonal relations are very easy and facilitated because you work in very close to each other, and self-awareness, that is to say the awareness of what you're doing and why you're doing certain things, is important, and this is an important antidote to alienation and repetitiveness, sterile repetitiveness of work, because inclusion is promoted, and inclusiveness is important to feel and understand our value we perceive to be accepted. Our differences are accepted and valued, and we feel connected. So interpersonal relationships, self-awareness, self-confidence, etc. All this is important to implement practical, concrete actions that are fundamental. There's equality at work, dignity at work, fair wages, solidarity, participation, bilateral approaches at different level, which is the only way to really participate in micro-enterprises, reconciling personal and professional life. Well, all these activities are important. They are essential preliminary conditions. We have them, and I would like to take the opportunity to be short, and I would like to conclude by saying that an essential role, and I say it in this forum of intermediary bodies, and I thank, of course, the President Bonetta for hosting us today. Well, the organization representing workers, entrepreneurs, should work together in a new collective negotiation approach. We should break out the old mold and try to regulate work in a different way. We should proceed in a bilateral way. Bilateralism is important and should be based on subsidiarity and solidarity. But first and foremost, I think also that the organization representing workers and entrepreneurs in a system like that of micro-enterprises, that is an essential system in Italy and a fundamental for Made in Italy, and is perfectly working in the supply chain. Also sometimes going beyond the Italian borders. So it's very sterile to be very polemical, make a big difference between large and small companies. Italy, in fact, it's open to everyone. We can work all together in the different roles, in the different situation, and I think that association can play an important role to promote fraternity in the workplace. How? Not only as a value, but also as method to work, because when we learn to use it at work, and we work and commit to peace, this should be a methodology. at work. And if we apply all this, we can put together dignity of work, quality of work, and of course also profitability of company.